You're listening to the Baumbastic Podcast with Andrew Ellis on Inside Arkansas.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Baumbastic Podcast presented by Inside Arkansas and hosted by Andrew Ellis. Guys, I'm not having a good time. We are in the thick of it now as the Arkansas Razorbacks suffer a 6-4 defeat in Game 1 against Florida on the road to open up their series in Gainesville. That is now Arkansas's fifth loss in the last 6 SEC games. Does that sound right? 2 against A&M, 2 against Georgia, 1 against Florida, had a win mixed in there. So, yes, 5 of 6 losses in SEC play. Those 2 midweek shutout victories over Little Rock don't mean jack if you don't carry it into the weekend. And Arkansas did not carry it into the weekend from a starting pitching standpoint. We're going to talk about the game and what all went down, what this means for Arkansas, why this happened. Does God hate us? We're going to answer all of these questions here in the next 15 minutes. And I appreciate you guys for being here with me despite the rough circumstances for the Diamond Hogs. But before we get going on today's show, I do want to remind you guys, we are brought to you by our friends over at Basis Health. Basis Health is changing the way healthcare is delivered by providing mobile medical visits at the comfort of your home. A doctor will come to your home for urgent care, primary care, IV, hydration, and more. Basis Health, they are here for you when and where you need them most. You can learn more at basishealth.org today. Shout out to our guy, Dre. We always appreciate him for all he does for us. So let's talk about this one. Big picture, again, 6-4 game. You look at the numbers, the teams were pretty close. Florida finishes with 7 hits. Arkansas finishes with 6. Arkansas did make 1 error in this game, and it was a Zach Root throwing error, which directly led to a run. So that wound up being a huge difference in this game. It was competitive. I mean, it was back and forth, and both teams had their moments. It's not like Arkansas came out there and just completely shat the bed. It wasn't a disgusting showing of baseball or anything like that. It really was just a case of Arkansas not being able to string enough success together at the plate. All 4 of their runs come via the home run ball. You get 2 solo home runs from Vahiva Loy and Cam Kozel. Shout out to them. Great swings. And then Justin Thomas goes the other way with the fastball, hits a 2-run home run in which I guess was the 7th inning when Arkansas started to kind of make a push there, but it was too little, too late. You have 3 really nice swings that score some runs, a couple other base hits from Kahio Aloy, and I believe it was Gabe Frazier that hit a double off the wall. Some nice swings here and there spread out. But Arkansas wasn't able to consistently put pressure on this Florida pitching staff. And they had the Florida starter, Peterson, on the ropes early, a guy that has an ERA over 6 in SEC play, has really good strikeout numbers on the year. And he set a career or a season high tonight. I would assume it's also a career high for strikeouts. I believe he finished with 13 in this one. Liam Peterson being for the right-handed pitcher for Florida, big sophomore right-handed pitcher. Career day for him. And so you tip your hat. Good job to him. And also this Florida pitching staff, I should point out, top 5 nationally in strikeout rate. So it's not all that surprising a starting pitcher who, when he gets outs, are pretty much all strikeouts, and a Florida team that's top 5 in the nation in strikeouts. Arkansas is also, middle of the pack to above average in terms of strikeout rate. So it's not all that surprising that Arkansas was striking out a good bit against his Florida pitching staff, which is known to do that. I believe it's just under 12 strikeouts per 9 innings. I think the disappointing part is, and we'll pull up the box score here while I rant about this, 2 walks for this Arkansas pitching staff. This is a Florida pitching, or 2 walks for Arkansas against this Florida pitching staff, a group that is walking damn near 5 guys per game in SEC play. That was the big separator I talked about coming into the season between this Florida pitching staff and A&M. Arkansas racked up 30 hits in 3 games against A&M, but they weren't getting walked a ton. In this game, you finished with 6 hits. You strike out 16 times, and you only walk twice on top of that. That's kind of been the story of Florida's season in SEC play is they'll rack up the strikeouts, but they also will be getting hit around a little bit. Peterson came into this game. SEC opponents were hitting over 300 against them. And Arkansas, like I said, had 3 of those hits in the first 2 innings. The Vahiva Loy homers in the first, Cam Kozel homers in the second inning. And you're like, okay, they're starting to kind of break him down. He threw 49 pitches through 2 innings in this game. He ends up going, I believe it was a 6 1/3, or no, I guess he didn't get through 6 1/3 because he didn't get an out in the 7th inning. Goes 6 innings, gives up 5 hits, 3 of which again came in the first 2 innings. The 3 runs, 2 walks, and 13 strikeouts. That 3rd run they got against him came after he left the game because Justin Thomas's 2-run home run came against the reliever. So really, again, basically got through 6 innings of 2-run ball against his Arkansas squad. the fact that he was able to do that after the way the game started, certainly surprising. Like, you kind of expect a guy to wear down. You have 49 pitches through 2 innings. You kind of expect, hey, we could get this guy out of here in 2 more innings. He winds up going into the 6th inning and coming out for the 7th inning. They were going to try and squeeze a 7th inning out of this guy with like 120 pitches on the radar already. Pretty surprising. And on the flip side of it, Arkansas, the starting pitching, which has kind of been the Achilles heel, it's come back to bite Arkansas a good bit. We'll pull up Zach Root's numbers here. You see 4 1/3, 6 hits, 5 runs, 4 of which were earned. I mentioned the error that he made on an errant pickoff attempt after Florida goes 8 up, 8 down to start the game. Finally get a 2-out base hit in the 3rd inning. And he throws a pickoff attempt into no man's land out there in right field. Ball bounces around a little bit. Guy scores all the way from first. So right off the bat, a Florida offense has the exact opposite of the effect that Arkansas had, where they couldn't get anything going early. You kind of felt like Arkansas had a chance to break them open there in the 2nd inning. They leave 2 runners stranded. They come back in the bottom of the 3rd. And that's where they finally get that run against Zach Root. They end up battling him for 1 more run in the 4th inning. And he actually did a good job battling in that 4th inning. But the fact that he wasn't able to get Arkansas through 5, 6, 7 innings after the way things started off, just a really big blow for Arkansas. And then you have the other side of it where Florida's pitcher is on the ropes early and ends up getting into the 7th inning. Just really disappointing. And that simply was the difference in the game. Arkansas's Friday night starter ends up giving up 5 runs. Florida's Friday night starter, who's really struggled in SEC play, winds up having a career day, getting into the 7th inning, and gives them a quality start with 6 innings and 3 earned runs. That's pretty much it. I mean, Dylan Carter, now I should point out, did give up the big fly, the big 3-run home run, which really broke this game open. He comes into the game. Zach Root had just given up a base hit, which gave Florida the lead and had it 1st and 3rd with 1 out. And so you go to Dylan Carter, who's been really good for Arkansas and threw the ball pretty well tonight, ends up giving up a 3-2 home run on a fastball up in the zone. Guy just jumped all over it. That was a 3-run swing that basically won the game for them. Adds 2 more earned runs to Zach Root's tally, where he had already kind of set it off in a bad position there. But it's just crazy considering how well his outing started, then it finished the way it did. Christian Vouch, I want to commend him, by the way, came in and did a really good job. I'll pull up that line one more time for him. An inning and 2/3, struck out 2, got a couple soft ground outs, a little pop-up. Thought he did a really good job filling up the zone. The last few weeks, I've really liked what I've seen from Christian Vouch, and it's tough to say outside of the huge 3-run home run he gave up, he was pretty good. But for Dylan Carter, outside of the huge 3-run home run he gave up, he was pretty good. But of course, that was the big swing in the game. Florida was able to make that swing. Arkansas did not have runners on for their home runs, and that's kind of the big difference here. For Arkansas, from a big picture standpoint, I mean, look, it's tough because how many times do I do this? I do these game recaps, and I'm like, hey, we can't take one result and overreact. And, if you look at it for what it is, it's really not that bad. And that would apply in this game. Like, it's a 6-4 loss. You had your chances there, just weren't able to do enough. Ultimately, it's not a big deal in the big picture, but when you combine it with what we've been seeing from this Arkansas team and some of these same issues popping up, you're kind of waiting for Arkansas to correct course. And you're also waiting for your number 1 ranked offense in the SEC to really light up a struggling Florida pitching staff. I mean, the starter, you kind of tip your hat. The guy has really good stuff. He's throwing 97, 98, and he's locating it pretty well. I felt like Arkansas helped him by going out of the zone a little bit. But I said coming into the weekend, you can pull back the preview. I was like, that's probably going to happen because you have a lot of these Florida guys that have been struggling, have good stuff. So eventually one of them is going to look like a big leaguer because a lot of these guys are still going to go on to get drafted. You jump on the first reliever, McNeely, that they bring in, have the big 2-run home run. But then they go to their guy, what was his name? Clemente, who has started some games for Florida in SEC play. He's kind of thrived as I say thrived. He has like a 7.7 ERA in SEC play. He's the only guy on this Florida team who has multiple saves in SEC play. So he's kind of their de facto closer. There's not a ton of arms they really trust, but you had 2 guys who have horrible numbers in SEC play that are able to get massive outs against this Arkansas lineup when they need him the most. And it's disappointing to have an offense that is, that is really beaten up on some bad competition. And it's not like they haven't shown up. I mean, they swung the bats really well against a good Vanderbilt pitching staff. That was an impressive performance. They won some shootouts against Ole Miss. That's an offense that, is not to be trifled with. Like they've it's not like they're just can crushers at the lineup, but you're kind of waiting for that offense to get back to being as dangerous as they were, where it was 1 through 9. It really felt like they were battling you at the plate. I think that's what's disappointing is in all of the most frustrating losses in Arkansas baseball recent history of the last 5-6 years, they kind of all have those characteristics where all the runs come via home run. There's some good swings mixed in here and there. Maybe you have a couple opportunities where you get some runners on base, but ultimately you just aren't putting enough pressure inning to inning. And on the other side of it, you have guys that you pretty much need to be good on the mound that aren't good. And that's kind of been the case with Arkansas, really going back to the very beginning of the season. I think it was in week 1, Washington State. Arkansas's 4 starters that weekend dominated. We're all lights out, really good stuff. Then you go into Arlington, and I think Gabe Gackel, that's where we started to first see something might be off of him. But Zach Root was really good, and Gage Wood was really good before he gets hurt. But pretty much every weekend since then, you've had at least one guy where you're like, well, Arkansas's starting rotation was really good, except Gackel gave up 6 runs to Charlotte. They were really good, except Zach Root gives up 7 runs to Ole Miss. And, they were really good, but, Beidelshees gave up 5. It's like they've always had one guy that you can always point to. And then some weekends, it looks like none of them can really give you that good outing. It's just disappointing. And it's weird because, like I've kind of been saying all along, there hasn't been a ton of, this hasn't been a starting rotation that we've had to wonder all offseason. We know who the guys are supposed to be. You just kind of need those guys to be those guys. I mean, you go out in the transfer portal and you get the number 1 pitcher in the portal available. You get the best possible pitcher you can get that is available to you. You go out and get them. And it just hasn't turned into a legitimate bona fide ace on Friday night. And you get the number 2 guy in Landon Beidelshees. And I would say he actually has been closer to what he's supposed to be as a Sunday starter, kind of just an innings eater. But when you look at this Razorback pitching staff overall, it seems like each weekend you have one or two of these guys that don't really quite live up to what they're supposed to be giving this Razorback team. And in the SEC, there's really just not that margin for error, especially on Friday nights when you're facing 3 separate arms that are throwing 96, 98 and dotting up off-speed stuff on the outside corner. Like, it always, a lot of times on Friday night, comes down to 1-2 runs here or there. And Arkansas in these last few, I guess they won game 1 against Georgia, but in these last couple game 1s, just haven't been able to make those plays, and that's really disappointing. And so it certainly makes you miss those guys like Hagen Smith, where you just kind of knew each Friday night you were getting a big-time effort. And Hagen's really an anomaly. How about even just someone like a Connor Nolan in 2022 where, he might never be dominant. He's not going to strike out 10, 12 guys, but you kind of knew you were going to get through 5-6 innings. He was going to throw a ton of strikes, and he was going to work in there. Let me pull up Root's line again. It's so frustrating because he still strikes out 8, only walks 2, and really all the base hits basically came in those last 2 innings. But it just seems like, I don't know, man. It just doesn't. It's like almost every base runner that he gives up comes around to score. I don't know if it's a bad luck thing or if it's just a mental block, but it's been really frustrating. And Arkansas, for a pitching staff, could really use some of that stability right now. And so, look, you move ahead to the next day. That's the good thing about baseball. You always have that next day. Arkansas still got plenty of arms they can throw at this Florida team, a Florida lineup that's pretty dangerous, I might add. I mean, all it took was one swing to really turn this game around today. Arkansas's got plenty of arms left. Hell, from a bullpen standpoint, we always play that game throughout the weekend of like, well, they've used this guy. What all do they have left? Arkansas is always going to look good during that conversation because you have basically 10 different arms you can pick from. But how's it going to look for Gage Wood making his second start in as many weeks? Will he be able to get through his 1 to 2 innings? Will he get up in that 40 pitch count range? What will it look like after him? Will it be straight to Ben Bybee, or will it be go ahead right to Gabe Gackel and just see if he can go as long as he can? Will McIntyre was getting loose. I feel like he's earned some weekend work as well. And of course, there's always Aiden Jimenez lingering there. There's always Carson Wiggins lingering there. And we'll see if any of those young freshman or sophomore left-handed arms get on the mound for Arkansas. But there's plenty of options, probably more so than you're going to see at Florida. Like Florida, you saw they were riding that starter for 110, 112 pitches. There's not a ton of guys they really feel comfortable with putting out there on the mound. You're probably going to see the closer that finished the game tonight again later in this series. And so it's up to Arkansas to get after their freshmen starting on the mound tomorrow. In game 3, it's going to be a complete disaster for Florida. They don't know who they're going to start yet. They'll probably make that decision at like 11 a.m. on Sunday. But it's up to Arkansas to put that pressure on them to get the starting pitcher out of the game early. When you have him down 49 pitches through 2 innings, you really got to go for the jugular there, get that dude out of the game, force that Florida coaching staff to start making decisions. Arkansas can get back in this series, man, and they can get back to having that confidence. But it's just really, the vibes are not. I don't need you guys don't need me to tell you that the vibes are not great with this fan base, and we're all going to be watching through our fingers tomorrow, man. It's not good, man. These dudes are fighting it, and so we'll see. The adversity has hit our precious pig. We will see how they respond. That's all I got for you on tonight's Baumbastic Podcast, but we will be back tomorrow, hopefully bearing good news. But I got to be honest, guys, starting to waver just a little bit. Not completely, but I am starting to waver. I had a dream this morning, or I guess a nightmare was what John told me earlier, that Arkansas was choking in the regional. Like, I woke up with like a sense of relief because I was like, oh, thank God they didn't actually choke in the regional for a third straight year. But it's kind of been messing with me all day. And then, of course, after this performance, I'm like, damn, like, was that like a bad omen? Like, what's going on there? But I don't know, man. I really need something good to happen. You know how it is with any superstition or really any sports team when you're in a funk. All it takes is that one big time AB that's going to turn things around. I actually thought it might be Gabe Frazier's AB in the 7th inning, which led to Justin Thomas hitting the 2-run home run, which is a really awesome swing, by the way. Arkansas jumped on it. The three swings that Arkansas had. They were awesome, but I thought that was going to be the at-bat that turned it around, but we'll see. But like I said, it only takes that one come from behind win, that one complete performance where you just go out there and kick someone's ass to restore that good feeling. So Arkansas's got a chance to battle back in this series. You really do not want to lose 3 straight SEC series, especially with what you've got coming down the pipe. That'll be a way to really create that tension with this fan base. But we'll see if Arkansas can bounce back again. We'll be back tomorrow. It might, by the way, I should point this out. It might be a little bit of a unique episode tomorrow. Full disclosure, Curtis and I are traveling to Kansas City tomorrow, making a quick day trip out of it with a couple of our buddies, our close allies, and we're going to go watch some fights in Kansas City, some UFC fight night. We're bringing some equipment to where, if something crazy happens with basketball or whatever, Curtis, always needs to be ready to go live. And I told him today, I was like, I might end up just like recording like a quick 10-minute stand up on whatever Arkansas is doing. That'll be about the time that we're getting dinner and heading over to the venue for the fights. But I'll try. I'll be watching the game. I'm just going to have to see how I can put that content out. Maybe it'll end up being way later in the day. Maybe it'll end up being like first thing in the morning Sunday. I don't know. So just be on the lookout for that. It could get a little weird with when the timing of that video ends up going out. It's always kind of a disaster trying to upload these things when you're out and about, which I will be in Kansas City tomorrow. But it's a big day for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Big weekend. Get in the foxhole, boys. The Hogs need all the help they can get, and we'll try to power them through. So hope you enjoyed this edition of the Baumbastic Podcast. We'll see you tomorrow.